What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Going deep, and it's caught in the end zone for a touchdown by Xavion Diaz. A great throw, Diaz wide open. There we go. Give it a good pull. And Vineland's defense. Oh, no.
What? That was a little suspect.
Welcome back, everybody, to Guzman's Gridiron, presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group and Underground Sports Philadelphia. We are back at our home, the Double Eagle, here in Vineland, New Jersey. Big thank you to Rob Bono and the Double Eagle for having us here for a second straight season. Coach, congratulations. 2-0 on the year. First time again since 2017 that the Vineland High School Fighting Clan football team start 2-0, and like we mentioned last week, there's a pretty special player on that team.
Absolutely.
And it feels like this team is loaded with lots of special players.
Yeah, we can't be proud enough to say that our kids are working their tails off. They're just working every day. They're coming into the weight room work, and they're coming into film study work, and it's just all around great effort by the whole team, and that's family.
Big-time win on the road, kind of a neutral site almost with where the field was and everything in Brigantine. We were field level, so it was kind of an alternate view of what we're used to, not getting the bird's eye view. But, you know, early on in the game, both teams kind of just defensive battle, and ball wasn't really moving that much. But as time went on, it felt like you guys kind of found your groove, and it showed that, like, hey, we have playing experience together. We know how to win together. Let's go out and do that.
I think that our guys just needed to find that spark once again, and you know, to rally behind that feel, and not just that, but they also had to, you know, get some things cleared up offensively, defensively, and which we did, and we did in a big way. So I'm very proud of our kids.
You know, 18-0, another shutout. We were talking after the game too.
Yep.
Last year, you guys had 10 straight quarters of shutout football.
Yes.
To start the season, 8-0, I heard Coach Cliff Smith say he had never started a season with 2 straight shutouts in any point in his career. So a big accomplishment there. What has been just working so well with this defense? We'll start with the defense in this one. Obviously, with a shutout at the high school level, that's nothing to sneeze at, no matter who you're playing. But what do you think has worked so well in the early go with Coach Smith, Coach Ryan Shelton in this defense?
I just think that these guys are just, you know, they're just jointed at the hip. I mean, these guys are just minds that are just special in that they can really analyze and really get the best out of each other, really scrutinize each other in such a way that once that finished product comes out, it's ball game. It's ironclad, if you will. These gentlemen are leading the defensive pack in such a unbelievable way. I mean, all these kids are starting to really, just buy into their defensive scheme, to the point where the youngsters, the Zincrafts of the world, if you will, playing on that end, they're starting to really show up in a big way. Really show up in a big way, Kyle. So, again, kudos to our underclassmen that showed up, and they're going to keep showing up the rest of the season, let me tell you.
And, we've talked about winning the turnover battle in every game that you guys play. You evened it out as the game went on. Some interceptions early, but the defense comes up big time. You get the fumble recovery, which was such an odd sequence for a fumble where,
right.
You didn't really know what had happened, and then you guys come up with the ball, and I felt like that was a huge swing in the momentum for you guys. And then, obviously, Mark Mutcherson comes up with that big interception as well. We'll talk about him a lot more later on in the show as well. But talk about, that first turnover that you guys get, and it really felt like that injected a lot of life into not only the defense but the team as a whole.
Yeah, and again, we work off of emotion. So we're an emotional bunch there, working off those sparks that these guys are relentlessly pursuing to happen on the field. I can't say enough about our defensive line. I mean, Donnie St. Jean, Everton Donaldson, Aiden Zincraft, Brandon Bedoya, Robbie Bono, not the Robbie Bono, not the owner of the Double Eagle and Greenview, but his son. I mean, these guys are just playing ball. They're playing ball, and they're solidifying everything up front for the guys right behind them. Our linebackers, are making spectacular plays. Noah's flying around the field like never before. He's making tackles left, right, middle. It doesn't matter.
That's Air Force Cruise right there.
I mean,
he is up in the air, flying around. The plays he was making on Saturday afternoon, my jaw was on the ground.
Right or wrong, the kid, he's blossomed into something that's very, very special for us. And it's just going to continue to keep going with him. And sky's the limit with Noah. He has so much more potential. It's scary, but he has so much more potential. Then you have Omar playing in at outside linebacker too. You have, of course, Mutchie just adding a spark, a Fanador. I mean, you have Saquon. This defensive backfield, this secondary is, and I'm not saying it because they're my guys, but I'm going to say it. They're playing all-out, shut-down defense.
They're playing like one of the best secondaries, not in South Jersey, but in the state.
They're just playing. Listen, as far as their rules, their alignment and assignment, no one can tell them what to do. I mean, they know where to be. Mm-hmm. They're always around the ball.
And they're all in sync. From your left corner to your safety to your right corner, all the way down. It's a perfect puzzle.
Absolutely. And it's 5 to 7 guys on a 5 to 7 hats on a guy. I mean, it's not, you're not getting hit by one. One's going to stand you up. The second one's coming. The third one's coming. Everyone's rallying. And we haven't even named these kids yet. You have the likes of Jose Phoebus playing out of it. I mean, he must have had about 5 hurries on his own. And then you have an unsung hero in Gage Gallo. I mean, he
laid on special teams.
He wants to play. Oof. Okay? You're talking about a quarterback that wants to play. And guess what? He found his niche, I believe. I really believe he's found his niche at the outside linebacker spot and special teams. And that's nothing to shake a stick at, right? He's cracking people. Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely cracking people, hogging people down from behind. I'm very, very proud of Gage. Program kid through and through, does all the right things. I couldn't be more happier for him than that day. I mean, you saw it in his face. Just lit up.
And I joked on the broadcast, too. I said, it's rare you see a smile during a game on Cliff Smith's face. There's about 4 or 5 of them things throughout the game, and yeah. I was like, oh, that's how you know the defense is cooking.
Yeah, we were cooking in a rate where, again, the young guys that stepped up in their positions, like Gage Gallo, like an Aiden Zincraft, they were stepping up in such a big way that the only thing you could do is smile. It's like seeing, your young boy going out there for the first time and really applying himself and picking something up. That's what we see. We see these young men that we have and we consider like our sons. I mean, extended family, right? And now we're seeing them grow into these positions, and it feels so good, man. It feels right. It feels the way it should feel. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Football is way more than just X's and O's, Seeing the development of a young man through and throughout the, course of his career, you can't put a price on that. The intrinsic value that you get from seeing their growth year in and year out and to see it blossom into something special, which it is doing right now, it melts your heart, man. It really does, So you see them smiles on Smith's face. He can't hide them, man. You see it.
And then, we talked about the fumble that kind of led to the momentum swing, and then Mutchie gets that interception, and it was just a work of art. Like, hang that interception in the Louvre, because he was right there, pinpointed the ball perfectly. And again, you want to talk about momentum. That felt like it was like, okay, we got this game in the bag.
Absolutely. Listen, field position is key. We talk about it every week. Our defense was putting us in such great position, field position-wise. I mean, that interception that Mutchie had, that's Class A interception material, period. That's book work right there. He read the play beautifully. Again, that's a testament to his, film study. The kid's studying film. He's seeing what to anticipate before the pass comes out of that quarterback's hands. Just an incredible move. And, again, another incredible spark for the team, to the point where the guys were like, Coach, don't worry, put it on our backs. Put it on our backs. That's selfless play. We'll get the offense back the ball, and which they did. They did. So, again, selfless play coming from, both offense, defense, special teams. It's a recipe for good cooking, man.
And Mark Mutcherson knows how to rock that turnover chain quite well.
He does. Yeah, he does. That thing weighs like 60 pounds, man. It's a house on your neck. But they love that thing, and rightfully so. He should have been wearing it.
And, that wasn't the only thing Mark Mutcherson did. And he's one of our 2 MVPs. Our most Vineland player, brought to you by the City of Vineland. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. And the calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season, our presenting sponsor for your MVPs of the game. And we had, for the first time, co-MVPs, one of them being Mark Mutcherson, who will continue to wax poetic about here right now, because he really got the momentum going on a fake punt that I asked him after the game, was that planned? Was that something you saw? He was like, it certainly wasn't planned. He was like, and I just, I had to make the play on it. And, again, we talked about him last week, too. That's that quarterback mind in him, where he's seeing the field so well, and it's just like, hey, I have the opportunity to do something, one, really cool here, and also put us in a position where we can go down the field and finally, break this scoreless tie.
Absolutely. That was a much-needed, boost in
I see what you
play.
did there.
You see that?
Much needed.
No pun intended. But yeah, it was Mutchie time, man, and he knows how to handle those tough moments. He's even keel, and the funny thing, so I'm sitting there, I'm watching this play, right, and all I hear in the background, I hear all this white noise, and all of a sudden, the snap is muffed a little bit. And Mutchie and I saw his eyes. I already know I know how he plays. So I was like, well, here he goes. Now there's a kid who not only puts in the work in the classroom, but put in the work in the off season. Got a lot faster, got a lot stronger. You see it. The fruits of his labor, you see it. And so I kind of like cocked my ear back because I was hearing something, and I knew I heard something, but I wanted to hear it clear. And all I hear is, Coach, what the heck of a call that a way to run a fake punt, baby. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I didn't turn around or anything, but I'm like, yeah, that wasn't a fake punt. That wasn't a fake punt, but I'll take it. I'll take it for my kids. I don't care. I'll take it for my kids. But he did such a great job with that. And again, it sparked us into ultimately getting that ball in the end zone.
And that was on a 4th and 5, too. It's not like it was like 4th and manageable, like a 4th and 1/4. That was 4th and 5. That's half of your down there.
Yes.
Mutch was able to pick that up and use that sideline to his advantage. And the co-MVP was the guy who ended up capping off the drive. And what a return to the football field it was for number 6, Charles Clark.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Special player. Special player, very dynamic in his approach. And again, I'll be honest on this broadcast. He was supposed to be on a pitch count with me. And I'm gonna say it. I told him. I said, "Listen, Charles, you're on a pitch count. So 3 to 7 carries is your workload today because we want you for the later rounds." And the kid is such a great kid. He's like, "No problem, coach." He didn't take no offense to it. He knows that we're trying to save his health. We need him later. So again, health is paramount with us. All of a sudden, it's like carry 4. He looks good. 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep giving him the ball. He's that dynamic where you saw that all the off-season preparation he did in getting his leg back to working order paid off in such a big way, Kyle.
And mind you, that's still with a leg brace on.
Yes.
That he was making those cuts in between tackles on the outside. I was floored because it was pretty much a year to the day from his last appearance in a Vineland High School football uniform to Saturday afternoon. And I was like, he looks brand new.
Yeah.
And he didn't skip a beat.
No.
His dynamic vision was there.
All day long.
110%. And it seemed like he had never suffered any type of injury because the way he was cutting, the way he was hitting his acceleration and his bursts after, getting the handoff and everything, I was so impressed with his play. And then he caps it off with a touchdown and just a brilliant return. It was one of those type of like, oh, he's back.
He's back. He's back in a big way. And you know what? That running back room is, one of the guys I kind of like the little coined phrase that they used. We'll call it Mount Rushmore. You got 4 guys back there that can run the rock.
Emphasis on rush.
Yeah, they can run. They can run. So, and they all offer a little difference in their approach. Omar's your bruiser. Charles is just all around. He can bruise. He can run outside. He can run inside. He can juke you. He can run you over. You got CJ as a freshman, just speed, the athleticism, to find the whole awareness, pad level. And then Georgie, who only got in very limited action this year, haven't seen him yet. That spark is unbelievable as well. So, T.O.'s doing a great job in that front running back room for us. And we can't be proud of these kids. These kids are putting in the work and reaping the benefits.
Coach T.O.'s like Samuel L. Jackson assembling the running back Avengers. He's like, I'm assembling a team.
Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. These guys are here.
They were fantastic. And those 2 plays, Mutch's fake punt return that ended up setting up that first down, and Charles ended up being the game-winning drive because you guys pitched that shutout. That was the first score of the game, and to kind of build off of that, you guys were able to go down the field, score a few more times as well. I think having a drive like that where it is so successful and everything kind of bounces your way, again, offensively swung the momentum and gave the offense confidence to say, oh, like, we can do this. Like, we've done this before. It's a different environment. It's a different team, but we can score. We're capable of doing this. Let's go do it.
I think that along with the fact that these kids now understand that if they're down and they're in a hole, they can come out of that. They can come out of that. Now they have that confidence and that wherewithal to be like, okay, we've been here before. We already know what it takes to come out of a hole. So that was a real big lesson that I think that our kids took from them, from this game this Saturday. And it's definitely going to pay off in the later rounds this season.
And I think, to go on the road in a, I'll say it, a less than ideal playing field situation. It was, we were walking on the field after, and Rich Scarpa and I were like, oh, this is kind of dangerous, to a degree. And luckily everybody, as far as I know, came out healthy from this game, which is huge.
On both sides.
On both teams, both sides of the ball too. And, it was one of those things where you had to overcome a little pregame adversity where it's like, here's the situation. This is what we got to deal with. Let's just play a healthy game and get out of here so we're good to go for next weekend. To come out, of this game healthy has to be huge as well in the early go of the school year too. And just the mindset of knowing like, okay, like we're a full stable right now. We're ready to go. We're going into week 2, game 3, and feeling pretty good about ourselves.
Yeah, ACIT had to play in the same elements we did. So at the end of the day, I told my kids, I said, listen, they're playing on this surface just like we are. So there should be no complaints at all. It's not like they have a special surface they're playing on and we get this. They're playing on the same surface. Let's make the best of it, and let's rise together as one family and get the job done, and that's what they wound up doing.
The special teams continued to be dynamic as well. Tons of returns, obviously. Mutchie's fake punt, but, let's talk about my guy, Ron Temple.
Ron, I told you.
One of my favorite players to watch, not only on the field, but he is so fun when he's on the sidelines. Every single moment I look over and I see that number 2, I have to hit my cough button so I can crack up laughing because he is so full of energy and just feels so, rejuvenated and happy that he's playing football again.
In our first episode, I had mentioned his name, and I mentioned to people, watch out for this young man. I'm proud to say that he was one of my freshmen, when he played his freshman year. Loved his play then. Again, things happened his next 2 years, whatever. But he came back. He got everything straight in the academic department, first and foremost, and wound up earning his way onto the team in such a big way. I mean, this guy is nothing but energy. If I had to give him a nickname right now off the cuff, I would say he's Swagoo. That's it. He is swag all day long. He has this air about him, and it's not that he's cocky at all. It's just
confidence.
Yeah, it's just Ronnie. Everybody knows Duder. Everybody knows him as what he is, and it's just he's full of this energy, good energy that goes ahead, and everyone feeds off of that. So again, I'm very, very proud of that young man, and I'm only wishing that the best for him. Upcoming games that he's gotten, he's looking to play at the next level as well, man. So he keeps doing what he's doing. Eyes are going to be lifted all the time on film. He pops out at you on film.
And, I mean, he's 1 for 1 with a punt return for a touchdown. That's his first punt return of the season, too. And not only was it just, catch ball and go, he reversed his entire field.
Yes.
So it wasn't even just what the yardage was from where he started to the end zone. He ran about another extra, 40 yards this way. He was on the complete opposite side of the field, comes all the way up. And I now understand what it's like to be Gus Johnson or somebody on Sundays calling a punt return, because that was one of the most exhilarating moments of my broadcast career, is just having somebody come up my close sideline and calling the touchdown.
And I think that's the key there, Rich. You bring up the experience factor. This offense has one full real-time, game-time experience under their belt already, along with 2 preseason scrimmages against big-time opponents like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. That pays dividends in the early go here. Getting that experience under your belts. As Ron Temple will return it. He's reversing field. A great block. Ron Temple making his way up past the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Ron Temple to the house. Reversed his field, brought it all the way up, and Ron Temple into the end zone to extend Vineland's lead. It's 12-0 Fighting Clan.
Well, with his feet, he cuts back across the field, but then he picks up 2 really nice blocks. And the best thing about the blocks weren't that they were made, that they were legal. There were no blind side. They pressed it, just executed perfectly. Well coached on that.
Tip of the cap to Ryan Shelton and Henry Garton, who have taken over the special teams duties this season as a tandem. And so far through 2 games, Rich, the special teams unit has been spectacular, especially in the return games.
That was just unbelievable mindset and frame of mind by Ron Temple to be like, okay, I'm going to reverse field here because I see a better outlet to get to the end zone by going to the other side and avoiding every single tackler on ACIT special teams kicking unit.
Again, this young man has built himself up to be a leader. Every game, every practice, I remind Ronnie, I'm like, Duder, make sure you are a leader. You lead. Do not be a follower. We have enough followers. We need leaders. Yes, sir. It's always yes, sir, no, sir. Looks you in the eye. He's a good kid, man, and he's gonna keep raising eyebrows. I'm telling you, he's just gonna pop out of you on film. So I can't wait to see what else he's got cooking in the future games.
And, I mean, we talked about it last week, too, with both Saquon and Xavion being on that punt return and kick return unit when you have now 3 guys who have that speed and athleticism to be on that return team. I mean, that in and of itself is just such an added element, and you're almost going into a game knowing you have that advantage in your back pocket and your opponents only know it from film and they don't really know how to stop it.
No. Again, any of those gentlemen, including Mutchie, any of those gentlemen gets that rock, something special is going to come about it. They protect the football. They do all the little things. They hold the ball in their offhand, to the sidelines. Their awareness, their pad level when they get hit, all of the little things they do right, and it equates into a recipe of success, once they get their hands on that football. So good luck. Good luck trying to find out, how you're going to stop one of these guys, let alone, all, 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And, I mean, you talk about Mark Mutcherson, too. I thought this week, from week 0 to week 1, his punting game has grown exponentially.
Yes.
And just the way he's able to boom the ball down the field. We talked about field position being vital in the return game and setting up the offense. Mark's setting up the defense with impeccable field position to just stop your opponents and knocking them way back in their own territory.
Again, testament to his work ethic. He's out there in practice. He's getting, his 30, 40, sometimes I lose count, 50 punts in early and then another 40, 50 punts in late. He just and he's always trying to figure out, well, how can I get a little more distance, or how can I get a little more height on the football? Just trying to figure out things himself, and he does. When it comes down to the game, it's like you're seeing these booming kicks. I mean, you hear the kids now on the sideline. The minute Mutchie kicks the ball, you hear his boom.
Him and Morello on the kickoff. And I am fully convinced that it is a Costco guys reference from TikTok and YouTube, because that's exactly what it sounds like. I'll have to show you the video of it because I know that's exactly where it's from. And in my brain, I just see all of the Costco guys graphics popping up whenever I hear the entire sideline in unison just yelling, boom!
That's it. And if you notice, Kyle, this team is different in that. This team actually really bought into the fact that we're all involved in this game. You never know when your number is going to get called, so you better be paying attention and better be involved. And how better to be involved than support your teammates? They're your teammates. I mean, if you can't do that, then you can't be a part of this Vineland football team. And, I mean, these kids are just showing that they're a family unit.
And we are going to talk a lot more about that, plus get you ready for another road game, this time at Eastern, and the first Friday night game of the season. Don't go anywhere. You're watching and listening to Guzman's Gridiron right here on Underground Sports Philadelphia from the Double Eagle. Hey, everybody, quick ad break, and I want to talk to you about our amazing sponsor, Allen Associates, returning for a second season here on Guzman's Gridiron. We are extremely thankful to have them on board with us for the 2024 Vineland football season. And if you are looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belt, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. Whether you're a part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Their family-owned business currently helps upwards of 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. You can easily learn more and access their services by visiting their newly renovated website, Allen Assoc, that's ALLENASSOC.com. So join the family and let them help you secure your future. Contact them today online or by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. Big thank you to Allen Associates for being a proud partner of Guzman's Gridiron.
I'm Mayor Anthony Finucci. If you're looking for the right location, think Vineland, New Jersey. Our pro-business approach is supported by financial incentives, workforce development programs, and other resources which can give your business a competitive edge. Whether you're starting a new business or expanding to new markets, our business environment, infrastructure, accessibility, and quality of life make Vineland an ideal location. More information about how we can help your business grow can be found at vinelandcity.org. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. And, Coach, we're back home at our, I guess you call it the nest here.
The nest.
The Double Eagle Saloon and Deck Bar. Typically going to be here every Monday night, so if you want to come out and watch the show live at the Double Eagle, we're out here on the Deck Bar. And they got Monday Night Football specials this year, Coach. Monday Night Football is back tonight. It's your 49ers as we're recording this, taking on the New York Jets. And these specials, they're pretty good. Cheesesteak egg rolls, $8. Soft pretzel with cheese dip for $8. They got flatbreads, Philly cheesesteaks, grilled chicken pesto sandwich with garlic parm fries. The Monday Night Football specials are to die for here at the Double Eagle. Eat it only here at the Double Eagle. And come out Monday nights, watch the show here, watch Monday Night Football after. It's a perfect way to kick off your week. Thank you to the Double Eagle for having us. For Guzman's Gridiron, Coach, you talked about before we went to break, just everybody buying in. And as the game went on, I saw Coach Henry Garten kind of kick-start it, but on the kickoffs, the clapping cadence and everything, and everyone buying into it, the booms, everything. And I think that separates you as a team going into the season as like, okay, we'll figure it out as we go, or a team that's like, we already got it figured out.
Yeah. Again, I these kids, it's just a different group. It's a tight-knit group. You just see it. You see it every game. It's something new that they come up with, and they all rally behind each other. There is no egos. Every man is playing selfless football. So we're proud to say that our kids they're playing football, man. They're playing football. There's no me, guys. It's let's get this done. We want to win. We want to win and send our seniors out on top. So very proud of our kids.
And I think, the buy-in there is also just the fact that, like, the early season you've gotten 2 wins. And it's like we haven't had to wait to learn how to win together. We did it right off the bat, and we know what we're capable of. And I think that's huge for just the momentum building of week to week now as the season goes on.
Absolutely, and not to mention, we're running on the road, Kyle. We're road dogs, man. We got 2 more on the road, and so these kids are they're getting that their comeuppance on the road. We haven't gotten home yet. We're not
and
home
it's
all
2
comfortable.
shutouts on the road.
Yeah. So say what you will, these kids are putting together a beautiful package that if they keep it going, it's going to stand the test of time for a long time in Vineland.
And I think, on the offensive side of things, too, to put a bow on this game against ACIT, it feels like Coach Hendricks feels a lot more comfortable, too, calling the game from the offensive side of the ball. We touched on that a little bit last week, and it just feels like he's getting even more comfortable in this role, his second year as an offensive coordinator, being a lifelong defensive-minded guy, a defensive player, a defensive Super Bowl champion. It feels like he's getting more comfortable on the offensive side of the ball, which is also giving him more creativity and feeling comfortable calling a lot more creatively on the offensive side.
Again, that's my guy. Him and Coach Smith, those are my guys, man. And Coach Hendricks is doing a phenomenal job. He's really, really, nestling in on his, his duty of being an offensive coordinator. His play calling is superb, man. It's starting to utilize all the facets we have on our team, and he's utilizing them in a way that he's exploiting their gifts, their talents. So I can't say enough about that guy, man. He's just quality. Grade A quality guy that's really doing his due diligence for our kids to succeed.
Today, obviously, first day of the game week and everything, watching film, obviously, a couple of mishaps for Elijah with the 2 interceptions.
Right.
As a head coach, in the early go, is that almost kind of a positive from a teaching perspective for him being a freshman, being a starter at the varsity level, to say, hey, this is where we can pinpoint where the mistakes happen, and this is how we can learn from it throughout the game week.
Again, with Elijah being a freshman, true freshman, we know as a staff he's going to go through his growing pains. But I pulled that young man to the side, and I told him, I said, listen, you can win 60-0, right? You're not going to remember that game. The games where you're throwing picks, where you have got to dig and grind out that win, those are the ones you remember, you see? Those are the ones you grow from. And from that game, that young man took a lot of invaluable experience from that game. From throwing those illegitimate interceptions to not extending the play sometimes, to not eating the football and kind of throwing it away and things of that nature. He learned so much in a short game that's going to pay off dividends later on in the season. So I'm very proud of that young man.
And I think watching from the sideline level where we were set up for the broadcast too, the number one thing that stuck out to me was even when he threw those interceptions, the head was not sulking. He wasn't down on himself. He was still, helmet in hand or helmet on, ready to go. Mm-hmm. And I think that shows just his dynamic as a week 0 to week 1 starter, as a growing leader on this team, being at the quarterback position. It's almost a natural leader position. Yes. And he's learning from his mistakes and isn't allowing those mistakes to affect the rest of his play as the game goes on.
I agree with you 100%. And to add to that, I would like to say that, our upperclassmen are just, they're right behind them, man. They just support them in a positive way. It's all I ask my upperclassmen to do, and they're doing it in such a big way. And Elijah knows that. So his confidence is just going through the roof because he knows he's got – the whole team is rallying behind him. There was not one moment when he threw a pick you saw guys drooping their head, bad body language. All you saw was them come up to him, pat him on the head. No worries, man. Let's go. We'll get it next time. But defense is going to get you the ball back. I mean, what more can you ask for in a group? So these group of young men we have this year, they've really, really honed in on the key aspect of the word family and are displaying it week in and week out.
And, Coach, you mentioned that word family, and we're going to get to our game preview against a somewhat familiar opponent this year in Eastern, the first opponent that we've played the past couple of years. And speaking of family, our week preview is brought to you by our friends at Allen Associates. And if you're looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, just like this leadership group on the Vineland High School football team, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belt, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. And whether you're a part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Their family-owned business currently helps upwards of over 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. You can easily learn more and access their services by visiting their newly renovated website, which is linked in the description of both the audio version and on YouTube of this episode. So definitely check out their website, linked in the description. So join the family and let them help you secure your future. Contact them today online or by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. And big thank you to Allen Associates for being a proud partner of Guzman's Gridiron. And, Coach, it's Eastern this week. A familiar opponent that we've played the last 2 seasons. The only difference this year is it's at their place this time.
Right.
Going into a game like this with 2 games now under your belts, is it kind of helpful that you have a little bit of known game film on this team and kind of how they function as a program and knowing what they like to do as a team?
First and foremost, kudos to, the coaching staff over there at Eastern. They're doing a great job with them kids. But yeah, they're a formidable opponent. Most of our games have been close, very close.
For more reasons than one.
Yeah. So we know what we're in for. We're in for a team that's very well coached, that's disciplined, big. They have it looks on film like he's a 6'4" quarterback, so long, stays in the pocket, really looks, his receivers off and things of that nature. So, again, we know what we have work-wise cut out for us. But I believe in our guys. I believe in Coach Smith and Coach Hendricks. They're going to have a great game plan. We just went, film and install, and they're still actually film and install them over here with you guys. But we'll be ready. we're going to be more than ready offensively, defensively, special teams. We have to, clean up some things on special teams, as you saw last week, which is getting done. Like, it got done like ASAP, like after the game. But you'll see a difference in special teams play as far as field goal, PATs and things of that nature. Again, we have to do the necessary adjustments to ultimately, put us in a position to win later on the rounds.
Going into a game like this, too, where it is a familiar opponent, where this season I think there's maybe only 3 teams that you guys have played in the past couple of seasons. Going into it knowing the small history between you guys and Eastern, is it one of those points of emphasis, too, where you guys have won the first 2 games in this, early go against them? Right. Is it one of those points of emphasis to the team where it's like, hey, like, they're going to be coming for you. Like, there's a target on your back now. You're not only 2-0 this season, you're 2-0 against this team, and they want to get theirs at their home stadium now.
Absolutely, and we make sure that our kids know that, and they are no dummies. They know what's at stake. Again, they're nice-sized kids up front that they have, and again, very well coached by the coaching staff over there at Eastern. So, again, we just got to come every day, work, put in our due diligence, and follow out the game plan that, Coach Hendricks and Coach Smith are writing up for us. So,
first Friday game this season for the first time. Friday Night Lights, finally.
We're looping everywhere, aren't we? Thursday, Saturday.
And then next week we go back to Thursday.
Yes.
What has it been like, with the kind of just scheduled gymnastics you guys have had to play in the early go where, we talked about it going into the first game. It's like you have the whole off season preparing, and it's almost like, hey, we've known this is game day. Then last week you kind of have a mini bye of sorts where you have an extra day of preparation off the game and everything. And now it's a short week. What is that preparation like now that you've kind of experienced it a little bit this season for you guys as a coaching staff to kind of maneuver the schedule in a way that makes sense for, okay, we got to do this day is this, and just making sure that you get every possible ounce of teaching, install, and just like actual, practice work in that makes sense for the game ahead?
Well, again, time management, efficient play when we're out there, not wasting any downs of play with our kids. We cut out the fat, and we really nestle in and concentrate on what's at stake, what's at hand, what's the game plan offensively, what's the game plan, defensively, special teams-wise as well. And then, again, we cut off all the extra, and we really zone in on what we need to do for that week, being so that it's a short week.
We've done this a little bit in game prep last season, but now 2 games in, you've seen a little bit of what this team is capable of. Going into a game like this against Eastern, as the schedule's gone on, it's like, hey, here's a different opponent. Here's a more experienced opponent as opposed to last week. And that's no slight to ACIT at all, but that was their first game at the varsity level. And I thought for, 2.5 quarters, they played an exceptional game. What are some keys and who are some players in particular that you've watched now through 2 games and seen today taking in film and install that you're looking to have them make their stamp on a game and potentially be one of our MVPs after this week and going into a game that everyone's going to have to be firing on all cylinders? Who's somebody that is capable of it, that you want to see step up and really just take their game to the next level?
Somebody that I would really like to see step up and have a monster game, I would say it would probably defensively, it would probably be Saquon. He hasn't had a breakout game yet, okay? He's solid. I mean,
he's done it on special teams.
You're not getting nothing over him. He's solid, but I'm talking about a pick for him, something like that, something that he deserves it because he plays extremely well. He's definitely a zero cover, corner. He's lockdown. But I'm expecting him to have something to come out with and really see him, go out of there with a big smile. And offensively, I would say, and you know what, call me what you want to call me, but I haven't seen Mason really take over yet offensively. We've seen him defensively do his thing, but I want to see him offensively really show that he he's a receiver for a reason. He can really hurt you. So I would say those two gentlemen, I would expect a breakout game from either or.
And I think, when you look at it on the defensive side of things, special teams wise and everything, we saw Ron Temple step up this week, and
Yes.
we were mentioning it a little bit during halftime. Ron Temple kind of reminds me, just his swagger and his confidence, of C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Okay.
He's got that CD deuce in him where, like, he knows he's the best at his position. Nobody's going to tell him otherwise, and then he's going to go out and showcase why he's the best. And I think every football team, no matter what level you're playing at, high school, college, NFL, CFL, UFL, wherever, you need a player like that.
100%. And that's why I was so happy when he, came to me and said, Coach, can I play? I said, well, let's look your grades up first. You need to do some work there, okay? Do that work you need to do in the classroom first before we even talk football. He got it done. Well, let's talk football. And the rest is history, man. I mean, you see it. This kid is special. He's been special since he was a freshman. I wish he would have played his other 2 years, but, it is what it is. It didn't happen. But this is his senior year. I think this kid is going to really raise eyebrows at the next level. I mean, he just pops out, like I said on film, from speed to tenacity, to just being an excellent all-around teammate. This is a kid you're going to need to look out for in the near future.
And I think you mentioned Mason on offense too, and why he is a receiver. He's another one that's gotten stronger this offseason.
100%.
I've seen Mason on the sidelines and post-game the last 2 weeks, and I'm like, where did that extra muscle come from?
Right.
Like last year, like you had size to you, you have the height to you, and the reach and everything that you need. Where'd this muscle come from?
Right.
And you've seen that defensively from him. You've seen it on special teams.
Right.
Talked about it last week where, he's switching the field after getting held and he's muscling his way through. If he can do that at the wide receiver position, look out.
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. I've always mentioned that about his play. Mason is just, he's something that, again, if he puts his mind to his craft, which he has been, you really notice his play. You just really notice his play. He's a lot more he turned the volume down, let's say. And he's very, very focused in his pursuits. And he wants to be the best player at his positions, whatever they may be, offensively or defensively. And he's showing it every week.
He realized you don't need all volume. There's some bass and treble that he turned up and said, hey, we can keep the volume on like a 6, but let's crank the bass up. And as the sideline says, bring the boom.
Bring the boom. Bring the boom.
Looking at Elijah going into this week where, week 0, a fantastic debut. This past week, obviously a couple hiccups there, but still played very well to keep you guys in the game, move the ball down the field as the game went on. What are some things that you're looking to have from him clean up and then obviously improve upon it and just expand upon in his game and what you guys know that he's capable of?
Well, one of the things is, ball security. We can't throw ill-advised picks. We just can't. I know he's a freshman and he's learning. But he knows, and if he was here with us, he would agree. Cannot throw ill-advised picks. Got to be able to take your drop and see over that defensive line and see exactly where you're going with the football. Footwork has to get a little better. You know what I mean? So there's things that he has to hone in on in his craft, which he will all week. He's going to be repping. That'll really, really extenuate his play. So. At the end of the day, Elijah's going to be fine. He's just got to keep on getting better week in and week out.
And, defensively, we were talking post-game, too, and there's a couple players that may have found their new position, and there's one player that, is trying to add some versatility to his position, and I think that stands out with somebody like Donnie St. Jean, where he's willing to do whatever it takes for the team. And, late in the game where you guys do have a lead, he's like, let's put me back at nose and see what we can do to kind of just exploit a matchup where I have the size that I can get inside and I can make some plays. And then you found some new positions for guys defensively that I think is just going to add to the bag of tricks that Coach Smith has.
Again, we are very proud as a staff to say we're finding more depth. We're finding more depth offensive line-wise. We're finding more depth defensive line-wise. Jafet Delval has done a great job filling in for, Zach Zavis. A great job. He's getting the ball back there. He's holding his own at the center position. You have, the likes of Brandon Bedoya, who, again, very proud of this young man. Had the jitters first couple snaps, but was all over the field. He's all motor. All motor. This
and he's
kid
so
is
tall.
Yes. You're looking at a 6'4", 6'5" kid, muscled up. He's a problem. Once he gets going, he is a problem. So he's getting more fundamentally sound. You have Robbie Bono's kid, little Robbie Bono. Smart, uses his hands very well, comes off the ball, does his job. So, again, building that depth is really, really going to go ahead and set us off in a whole different tier, because now some of our guys that were going, like Donnie St. Jean, going offensive guard, now I'm, the right anchor or the left end on defense. It's a lot. It's a lot for high school kids. So if we can go ahead and just get him the rest he needs for offense, get him the rest he needs for defense when he needs it, it's just going to solidify both sides of the ball that much more, where we can go ahead and give you 100% instead of this guy's going at 75 and this guy's going at 90. Keeps it solidified at about 100%. So that's what we're trying to do, and this game allowed us to do that.
And Donnie's one of those people that we've talked about it too in the past, where like he's so book smart that he's probably had these positional formations and everything from your guys' playbook memorized after last season ended.
Right.
That's how attention to detail he is at any position you guys thrust him into.
Now he again, that's one kid. I've had him since he was a freshman. I'm gonna miss him when he finally does have his last game. He's just a great kid, man. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate. He's Donnie, man. I love that kid. So he does his best to make sure that he solidifies, his job and what he needs to do, both offensively and defensively. So I can't be prouder than to say, he's part of our team, and he's a big part of the team, big part.
And, going into a game like this where you guys are 2-0, what is it like as a coaching staff knowing, I think as players, everyone probably assumes, like, the confidence is there. We know how to win. But you guys as a staff now are in the early go, winning as a staff. How fun is that to just be in meeting rooms after a game and prepping for the following week and knowing you guys have the confidence to bounce things off of each other in a game, after a game, and know how to win early in the season like you have so far?
Well, again, my coaching staff is the greatest. I mean, I wouldn't trade any of them for the world. These guys just – the coolest part is that most of them were my players, man. That is the – sometimes they'll look around the coaching room, right, and I'll just be like, wow, I can't believe that my guys did come back and are part of something which can be ultimately very special, It's already special in that we're coaching together, and they were on the receiving end, if you will, as being my player. But now these are grown young men. Who's a police officer? Who's working at, as an industrial engineer? All these different hats that they wear. But ultimately, we come together as one, as a family, right? And coach these kids up and they're giving back to their communities in such a big way, man. They're helping a lot of the youth that, if left on their own, who knows where they'd be? Who knows? You know what I mean? So again, it's pretty neat to be in a coaching room where 1 minute you remember yelling at the kid like, you were supposed to pull on this play. What are you doing? Next minute, hey coach, so what do you think about this kid pulling inside or outside? It's just a weird dynamic, but such a cool dynamic, because, again, it sparks up all these memories of back when. And we're a real tight-knit group at the coaching in the coaching department. So can't be proud of these guys.
You mentioned some things that'll be changing special teams-wise to just clean things up. And what is a conversation like that with somebody like Morello, where it hasn't been the easiest of starts for him to his career at the kicking position? And, there's those big shoes to fill. We talked about it in the early go. Like, it's been 12 straight years of just elite kicking prowess, and then it's your turn now, and there is that added pressure. I feel like no matter who it is coming into that position where it's like, I have to fill the shoes of Robert Kling, of Henry Garten, who's now my coach, of Colin Greif. Like, there's a standard almost for what kicking at Vineland High School has been for the better part of over a decade. What is a conversation like that going into this week where, you know, he does get replaced for one of the field goal attempts, still on the kickoff and everything, and I think, you know, there's potential still there with him, and I think he knows that. I think Coach Henry Garten knows that. But what is a conversation like that where it isn't the easiest start to a season to kind of, you know, keep that confidence and that morale there for a player?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I stand behind my kids, period. When Joey missed that first one, I told everybody, leave him alone. Don't talk to him. Leave him. Joey, come here. I said, don't worry. If we get a chance, we're going to come right back to you. I kept my word. We went right back to him. He missed again. It got blocked. Wasn't his fault, right? We're going to keep working the system. Johnny got out there, our other kicker. He got a couple tries. They got blocked. Okay, no problem. We'll keep working, but I'm not going to give up that portion of the game at all. So they know that I'm behind them. They know that the rest of the coaching staff is behind them. And ultimately, their own teammates are rooting them on. Don't worry about it. We got you. We got you. So it's a tight group. It's a tight group, Kyle, and it's going to bear fruit later on in the season, I'm telling you.
And when you have two kickers like that, along with Mark Mutcherson in there at the punting position, to have those guys in there for special teams and kind of having one another's back, and to have a leader like Mark in that room, I think is also pivotal, where it's like he may not be the place kicker. He's punting, though. He's in that foxhole with you.
Absolutely.
He's going to be there to support you no matter what, and I think that's huge, too, for a first-year kicker. And to have two guys in there that are kind of just battling almost like a quarterback battle. It's the same thing with kickers.
Right.
They're wanting to compete with one another, and when their number's called, it's time to go. And I think having that tandem there is so huge, to just know that you're not the only one kind of on an island.
Absolutely. They're supporting one another. There's no slights to anyone at all. These kids are just about the team and trying to get W's on the board, and they're doing it in a big way. You know, two wins, 2 shutouts. It's pretty impressive. Impressive.
And I think Joey knows too that he's just like one iota off on some of the kicks, and it's such an easy thing for him to fix.
Right.
That once he gets it, he's going to be locked in.
It's going to be scary. These kids, they've got the leg. Believe me, I watch them in practice. They have the leg. They have the consistency. It's just applying that practice aspect into a game. Once the game doesn't get, so big for them that they kind of like, get scared off a little bit, they're going to be fine. They're going to be really, really good at their respective position.
And I think we talked about it last year too, where like the kicker in football is almost the equivalent to any sport that has a goalie, where they just have a different mindset. You have to have a different mindset to play that position. And once that mindset clicks, you're dialed and you're just a different beast.
Yes. These kids, again, they're getting invaluable knowledge. Maybe it didn't go so well this time, right? But they're just gaining experience. Experience that's going to, I'm telling you, it's going to pay off in such a way in the later rounds. And that's what I keep on telling them. Don't worry. I'm going to stand behind you. You're going to get your fair share of tries again, okay? But, again, you've got to hone in on your craft and do it in such a way where you're just knocking them back and not thinking about anything. It's just reacting.
And I think when you have the backing and the support and the morale boost from Coach Henry Garten, too, knowing what you're capable of as somebody who was successful at that level for 4 years with Vineland High School, and knowing what it takes to be a kicker at the varsity level and learning from him, that's invaluable, I think, at that position.
Absolutely. Coach Garten's doing an excellent job with our kickers, excellent job with Coach Shelton and special teams. So, I can't ask for no more, man. I have really good guys that are just going ahead and trying to do their due diligence in coaching so that the kids succeed. Their kids succeed,
We're going to take one more quick break. We'll be right back here on Guzman's Gridiron, get you ready for Eastern, and talk a little college and NFL game as well. You're watching Guzman's Gridiron on Underground Sports Philadelphia from the Double Eagle.
At the Vineland Municipal Utilities, we understand that when our business community thrives, we all win. As a not-for-profit utility, our reliability, lower cost of operations, and flexibility in meeting customer needs make doing business in Vineland beneficial to your bottom line. What's more, we are able to do so while maintaining our commitment to environmental stewardship. We look forward to helping you achieve your business goals now and for years to come. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors and coach. Going into this game week, what are some things that you're excited about from a 2-0 start that you want to see carry over into this game against Eastern on Friday night?
I really want to see our offense start to match that energy that our defense puts out there. Again, Coach Hendricks is calling an excellent game offensively. All our offensive guys under him, helping him. Supporting him. So, again, I just want to see that swing in energy on the offensive side as well. And once we get that energy just right, watch out. Watch out, because Vineland's gonna make some noise, in my opinion.
And, going into this game after ACIT, everybody came out pretty injury-free, which was great. What's the injury situation looking like this week? Obviously, George Figueroa was out, and we mentioned last week he was kind of going to be week to week, and Zach Zavis is still on the rebound. But it feels like everyone's ever so slightly getting back to 100%. How's the injury report looking this week?
Again, those are our two guys that we have that are nicked up, and they're going to be questionable. Again, Dara and TD do an excellent job with our kids and getting them back healthy and prime and ready for game week. But again, it's off of their expertise. They'll let us know beforehand how everything's going. I know TD today had even Charles. He had him on the bike. He was doing modalities with the other injured players and Zach and such. So again, questionable, but we'll see. Whatever Miss Dara or Mr. TD goes ahead and lets us know come game time, then we go with it. And again, everything's done for the health of our kids. It's not, I need you to win this game. No. TD, Ms. Dara, in your professional opinion, are they ready to go? And if not, it's okay. We'll find a way. Don't worry.
First full week of school this week, too. How's that transition felt like with this being the first Monday of school and everything? How's that, new schedule for just, going through day-to-day things? Obviously, the football schedule you guys switched over a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But getting everybody back in the swing of things with school-wise, how's that been so far through 3 days?
You know what? It's been pretty easy, which is nice because sometimes it gets topsy-turvy, but it's been pretty easy. The kids knew beforehand. I always send out a message on Saturday night. So they knew beforehand what the time frames were, what we were going to be doing. They've fallen in such a routine since we've been practicing since, June, just walk through stuff, you know what I mean? So everything is geared and structured in such a way that come now, game time, forget about it. They're on their case. They know what to do. So I really didn't see no fall off or anything like that.
And it's got to be a cool feeling, too, walking into school knowing that, hey, really before school got going, we're 2-0.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time in anybody that is currently enrolled at Vineland High School that there's been a 2-0 football team.
Yeah, and you know what? You feel the energy of the school different. And I'm not just saying it. It's the truth. The way the football team goes, and this has been my experience in any setting, whether it was the high school setting or college setting, the way the football team goes, it kind of starts your year off. People rally behind you, right? So it's an overall good feeling. So, the school as a whole has this nice aura. Like, yeah, we're winning. We got a great football team, and so the kids are seeing that support from their classmates, which is really nice.
Yeah, I remember my junior year of high school, we went to St. Augustine Prep during the year, and finally it had been years and years and years since we had beaten the Prep, and we went out, we had fans on the road, and we upset St. Augustine on the road. Right. And that kind of sparked an entire run, not only for fall sports, But winter sports, every sport went to the playoffs.
Right.
I'm talking boys and girls basketball. I'm talking wrestling had guys going to state playoffs. Both swim teams went to their sectionals finals, and the girls swim team went to the state final. It was just a domino effect throughout the entire school year. And I think, like you said, it kind of does start with the football team because they are always in the spotlight, and it's one of those big sports no matter what school you're at. And when you're going good, it's going to trickle down, and those vibes are going to go to every single team in the school.
Absolutely. And again, our student body at Vineland High School, excellent kids, man. We have great kids at Vineland High School, and they're doing their due diligence and supporting our teams of Vineland, not just football. They support the teams of Vineland. So hats off to you kids, man. Just keep supporting us and keep supporting the rest of the teams of Vineland and the organizations.
Just wait until that first home game. Just wait for what the energy is going to be. Like, having to wait so long, I think, as a student fan base and just a fan base in general, to have that first home game, no matter what sport it is, no matter what level, it's like you're just clamoring to, like, get into the gates and be in the stands. And, like, that first home game after being on the road for 4 straight games and still having great turnouts, too, from our fans, which kudos to them for showing out.
Yes, they are.
It's going to be an electric environment, that first home game.
The student section is going to really here's another part. It's going to really be rowdy.
Yeah.
It's really going to be rowdy. These kids are I already hear the little clamors in the hallways and stuff, so they're waiting. They're anticipating us being at home. But like I tell our guys, on the team, it's one game at a time, one step at a time. Let's not overlook anyone. It's Eastern. Eastern's on the map right now, and we're going to get ready to go ahead and play a very well-coached Eastern team.
And, going into this week, too, where it is Friday Night Lights for the first time this season, and then after this, it's another short week. What is kind of the approach going into this game? Obviously not overlooking the opponent, but also making sure that everyone stays on track from a health perspective, knowing that the schedule is going to flip-flop yet again after this week.
Well, all we can do is we tell our kids to stay focused, live in the moment, right? Don't take anything for granted, and make sure that they come ready to play, well rested, make sure that they take in plenty of fluids, take care of their bodies, make sure they're doing what they have to do in the classroom. So the formula doesn't change. It's just that they really have to focus in on time management and efficiency. So I think that they've been doing a pretty good job of it thus far.
And before we wrap up, as we always do, we talk about our alumni and everything going on in the college and NFL space. And, Coach, Rutgers off to a nice little start again. They're following in your footsteps. 2-0.
Yeah.
Rutgers off to a great start. College landscape was crazy this weekend. Michigan finally loses a game to Texas in a huge, interconference matchup. Right? And the college game is just off to an unbelievable start.
Yeah. Again, man, that Schiano's something. Coach Schiano is he's something special, man. Them kids rally behind him and his coaching staff, and what he did to really turn that program around to where it is today, where they're different. You see that they're different. They have a lot of different players that have gone on board from other bigger schools. He's hitting on all cylinders, and he's attracting a lot of well-known characters, if you will, that are coming now from respected schools coming to Rutgers, man. They're becoming Scarlet Knights, and he's just doing a great job from top to bottom, from recruiting, from planning, from just the standpoint of getting his guys ready for life. I mean, he has life coaches for these guys. Like, this guy is just a coach's coach through and through. You want to learn some things, verbiage, and how to get a team to really rally behind, a mindset, if you will. You talk with Coach Schiano a little bit. Give him 10 minutes of your time, and you'll be blown away, because the man has knowledge beyond knowledge. It's like you sit back and think about what he says, and you're like, why didn't I think of that? But again, it's a testament to his hard work, and he's just focused in on his craft for so many years. So.
And I mean, look at how it's trickled down from Isaiah going there, and then obviously getting drafted in the 7th round
Right.
to last season, Tyreem is on Buckus Award watch.
Yes.
He's now got his own podcast with one of his teammates through Rutgers, has Coach Schiano on there.
Yes.
And learning, like, that media training almost, and, like, that could be something that Tyreem, after he's done playing, could be like, hey, I'm going to get into the media space.
Hang his hat on that.
And then you look at somebody, also South Jersey, I believe highest round drafted South Jersey product in Max Melton. Goes in the 2nd round this past NFL draft.
Yes.
Cedar Creek product. His brother playing for the Packers as well with Bo.
Right.
Both Rutgers products. I'm pretty sure Max is the highest round drafted South Jersey player in the NFL.
It's just, again, it's a testament to that man's, grit, determination, and just his ability to put together such a beautiful product. I mean, that's why he's been the GOAT. He's going to be the GOAT there for a long time.
And you look at something that stood out to me from the college game, too, this week. Notre Dame plays Northern Illinois at Notre Dame. They paid Northern Illinois, I believe, $1.4 or $1.8 million to play that game. And Northern Illinois goes into number 5 Notre Dame at South Bend and wins. And then you have Northern Illinois' coach, and you just see how much it meant to him.
Right.
That he's getting interviewed post-game, starts crying in the interview, and I think that is something we need to showcase more, is just coaches having that vulnerable side where it's like,
Right.
hey, it's cool to celebrate a win like this. It's cool to be
100%.
proud of your players. And you go in and beat not only just a historic program, a national brand. Notre Dame is a brand that stretches across the world.
Yes.
Not just in South Bend, Indiana. It is a global brand.
Absolutely.
And to have a MAC school go in and take down a top 5 team in the country is one of those storylines that when we look back at how this college football season goes, that's going to be in that montage of the 2024 college football season.
And it goes to show you that if your team buys into your philosophy and your team rallies behind each other, supports one another as a family, there's no obstacle that'll stand in your way. It's impossible. So, kudos to that team for rallying behind each other and coming out with a spectacular win. Win that they're going to remember for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 5th in the nation, and you're coming in and upsetting that team, 5th in the nation.
That happens to be Notre Dame.
You know what I mean? The golden helmets, right? Real gold flakes in there. I mean, that's an impressive win, and kudos to that coaching staff. They did a great job.
And, at the NFL level, we were going in to last week, and Isaiah was getting ready for his season. The Chiefs 1-0 yet again. Isaiah scores. Taylor Swift loves it. And the Chiefs get a win by an inch.
Yeah.
Because Isaiah likely maybe had a cleat size too big. That was an unreal overturned call because just the tip of his cleat was out of bounds. But the Chiefs get a big-time win at home, and the official NFL account just has Isaiah with the selfie cam going, and pretty cool. No matter how many years he's in the league, it never gets old seeing him on the NFL accounts.
Again, that young man, he's doing it. He's doing it on such a level that is just it's unbelievable to see, but believable for guys like me that used to see him day in and day out. Again, Andy Reid, the Magic Man, with his play calling and having the confidence and wherewithal to go ahead and give it to Pop at that what was it, a foot line?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then for Mr. Mahomes to come in and put a shoulder on Pop, that was pretty cool to see. That selfless play, man. You're talking about a franchise quarterback going into a pile just to make sure that we're going to score at all costs. That means if I get a little banged up or nicked up, oh, well, somebody better take care of me, but we're getting into the end zone. And then, of course, then you see the gyrations by Mr. Pacheco and his dancing prowess. So I can't be no more prouder than that kid. I mean, that kid is just aces through and through. And, us over here, the coaching staff in Vineland, and, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Coach Russo, all the guys that have been around Pop and that love Pop, we wish you nothing but the best, Pop, man. Keep doing your thing. Keep shining light on your city, which you are. and keep shining light over here on South Jersey, which you are, because a lot of these kids are now getting noticed because of the likes of yourself, Jamil, Luke Pacone, right? Calvin Wilkerson. I forgot his name last time. There's a lot of talent here, man. There's a lot of talent here. So just keep doing what you do, Pop. Day in and day out, keep doing what you do. That work ethic is incredible, unmatched. I mean, everybody in the league now knows what time it is in that department, and it bears fruit come game time.
And now he's starring in commercials for Hispanic Heritage Month.
He's in on all cylinders, I'm telling you. Listen, the minute that he started to utilize his ethnicity, forget about it. He plugged into a whole different bag. So sometimes you got to really take a quick look at, wait, I'm in my case, I'm Puerto Rican, okay? Let me go ahead and showcase that side of me, right? Let me go ahead and really secure that portion of me, of who I am, what I am, and put it on display for my people, for the my Latin culture, right? It's not a bad thing, and that goes for any culture, whether it's Italian, German, right? In this case, it's Isiah. He's Puerto Rican, African American, and he's showing that through play, and he's embracing that portion of his life and of himself, and it's just opened up new doors, new pathways for him. And it's also getting the game out there even further. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. In Puerto Rico, there's the main sports, right? Baseball, boxing, soccer a little bit, but baseball, boxing are the two top, and now basketball with the Olympics, right? But the two top sports, you go to PR, there's a baseball field everywhere, and there are gloves to be found in any store you go in, because boxing is a staple since the test of time. Yeah, right? So now he's bringing a new sport that really, you go to the island, you don't really see people with footballs throwing them around. But now you see people rallying behind him. Why? Because, he's Puerto Rican? Okay, we're going to rally behind him because we're very proud to be Puerto Rican, right? So because we're proud to be Puerto Rican, we're going to go ahead and rally behind this young man. And again, I can't be more proud of Pop than I am. He's just a special guy.
And we talked about it on the first episode too. When you have a global icon from Puerto Rico and Bad Bunny sharing a picture of ISIah Pacheco on his Instagram story with the Puerto Rican flag draped on him with the Lombardi Trophy in his hand, that's just ultimate worlds colliding.
Yes. And again, kudos to Bad Bunny for doing that. It shows what kind of person he is, where he's rallying behind, the Latin culture, this being the Puerto Rican culture. So, Pop, keep doing what you're doing, man. Don't get swayed anyway. Just keep yourself, humble and keep putting out a beautiful product week in and week out. And the sky's the limit for you. You haven't even touched the surface yet, man.
Yeah, it was cool. I was at a wedding send-off party this weekend, and there's people from all over, and there was somebody there who was a Kansas City Chiefs fan from Kansas City. I was like, yeah, I've known Isiah since he was in 8th grade. That's my boy.
Sorry about that.
That's my boy. And he's like, no way. It's cool, like, when you meet people, and it's like, yeah, I've known Isiah since before he was ISIah Pacheco. And, like, even when I was in high school, like, I knew Mike Trout before he was Mike Trout. And, like, getting to know these guys. And the coolest part is, like, they don't change as people.
Nah.
Pop has not changed who he's been since he was in 8th grade when I first met him to what he is now. He is still the most humble, down-to-earth, chill guy, will come, hang out with you, and then he's back to business.
Again, and that's one of his mainstays, right? He doesn't switch up and act different in front of people. He is ISIah Pacheco, okay? That's it. You either take it or love it or leave it, whatever you want, but that's him. And he's such a lovable person. That smile radiates nothing but positivity in a room. He'll light up a whole room when he comes in here. And not because he's this star, because I saw him through when he was in 8th grade. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes, He just has, when they say the it factor, he has the it factor. You can't put your finger on it, but he walks into someplace, an arena, whatever, that energy that he has within him just spreads like wildfire. It's unbelievable, man.
It's awesome to watch, and they'll be back at it this week as the NFL continues to roll around. And like you said, the NFL going new places. The Eagles were in Brazil, first week of the season.
Saquon
Barkley, how you doing?
How you been, buddy? 3 of them things.
Man, what a magical thing it is to put a talent like that behind a competent offensive line.
And then there goes the old New York Giant. I have no no winner in this game at all because I'm a 49ers fan. But a lot of talk. We don't need Saquon. He's through. He's garbage. He's washed up. The Eagles took him with no problem, and now
thank you.
And now they're singing a beautiful song, man. He's not going nowhere. He loves it there, and he showcased his talents to an nth degree over there in Brazil. So kudos to him and his hard work, man.
And then the Giants, they'll be in Germany against the Panthers in November, I think it is. And I don't know what we did as NFL fans to deserve a game like that.
Listen, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, I know that this international play, right? I understand what they're trying to do. But wow, sometimes you got to just be like, what?
Jaguars are going back-to-back in London this year.
Yes. So it's real. The game is really getting exposure out there. Like the tentacles are growing. It's great for the game of football. It really is, because now people that see, the thing is, in Europe, right, the big game is rugby, right? Of course, soccer, worldwide, biggest sport in the world, but in Europe, a big game is rugby, right? So now they're getting the guys that don't wear uniforms and don't wear all this protective equipment to now the top end, or the spin, if you will, to guys that do have protective equipment on, that do have actual plays that they run. Not saying that rugby players don't, but it's rugby's just a different sport. It's constant. It's get in the scrum and keep moving the ball, whereas football, you have your timeouts, you have your this, you have your halftime. It's just different. It's a different version of that original version, if you will. So it's good. It's giving people a different take on its original stance, which we all know was rugby.
Look at Jordan Mailata.
Yeah.
For the Eagles. I mean, he went from never playing football ever from Australia.
Right.
And it's huge in Australia and New Zealand with rugby.
Huge.
And Jeff Stoutland turns him into an all-pro left tackle to follow in the footsteps of Trey Thomas and Jason Peters.
Which is unreal.
For a guy that never played football. He is now a team captain.
Yes.
Is on his 3rd contract in the NFL. And has become an all-pro offensive lineman.
Again, that's a testament to his hard work and determination. And then how about that coaching staff being able to go ahead and transition someone from a totally different sport, even though it's similar in the bruteness and, feel, if you will, but turning that guy into a special one, somebody special, the likes of Peters and such. You're filling some big shoes, man.
As a 7th-round pick, just like Isaiah Pacheco.
That's that lucky number 7, man. There's something about
that last round, man.
Something to be said about that lucky number.
But Coach, Eastern Friday night, it'll be on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. Be sure to tune in. It will be my booth partner, Rich Scarpa, and I believe making his football broadcasting debut, the one and only Marcelino Ojeda, as I will be out for the Premier Lacrosse League End-of-Year Awards. I got invited to that as an awards voter, so very excited for that. And Media Day as the championship goes down on Sunday. Local product going across the board, too. Some South Jersey guys in there, which is exciting. But Marcelino making his broadcast debut in the football booth, so should be exciting. Very pumped for him. Be sure to tune in 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, if I'm not mistaken, at Eastern. And, Coach, very excited for this matchup. It's one that's turned into kind of just a new age, one of those games you look forward to every year, especially with just the mini history that has come from these two teams. And it's going to be a clash of some very talented high school football players on Friday night.
Absolutely. Again, I wish nothing but the best to, Eastern and its coaching staff and kids. But again, we're coming out with a purpose, and that purpose is to ultimately get, a win from this game. So we're going to approach, the work week like we do, in a timely manner, an efficient manner, make sure that everything is done correctly to, maximize the time that we have, being that it's a short week. But, we're looking to capitalize and keep our win streak going and getting out of there with a record of 3-0. And real quick, if I can, Richard Scarpa, I did hear the little message you sent about the jogging off. You thought I was going to let that thing ride? Huh? No. It's me. It's all about me, man. I'm gonna say this to you, buddy. I love you. And we will talk when the time comes. But I love you, man. That was funny. He had me dying. He had me dying. I was like, what? I'll get him. I'll get him.
Him being in
he's great,
your guys'
like
universe too, as somebody in the broadcast booth is so much fun because the stories he brings of being friends with you guys is just so much fun.
He's great. He's aces, but I just wanted to know that I caught that.
And he is a loyal listener, so he will definitely hear it, and we'll probably hear the rebuttal on this week's broadcast. So it will be ongoing. Very excited for that. But be sure to subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That is where this premieres in video form every single week to get you ready for Vineland High School football, whatever day of the week we're playing.
Absolutely.
In this case, it is Friday night, and it is also available in podcast form on the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast feed and the all-new Guzman's Gridiron podcast feed. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you can watch the show. We're in the chat in the comment section when it premieres, so come join us there as well. And catch the game 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel, produced by extraordinaire Doug Diola and our entire production team, which includes student production, which is just top tier.
Absolutely.
Our entire production team. And, of course, Rich Scarpa and more than likely Marcelino Ojeda in the booth as well. And big thank you to our sponsors. Big thank you to the Double Eagle for having us back for another season.
Thank you, Robbie.
We'll be back here next week as well, breaking down the Eastern matchup, getting prepared for the final stretch of this road trip, and hopefully talking about a 3-0 start to the Vineland High School football season. For Coach Guzman, I'm Kyle Bennett. This has been Guzman's Gridiron on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network, presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group. We'll see you here next week. And as always, go Vineland.
Yes, sir.